Let's discuss it further now with David Coburn, a Scottish MEP for the group Europe of Freedom and Direct Democracy. Mr Coburn, thank you for joining us this evening. So what do you think about this? Is it a new Facebook rule? Could it be just an example of blatant censorship, as journalist Glenn Greenwald put it earlier?
Well, it seems like that, doesn't it? I mean, why pick on them and they have to tell you everything about them, but other people don't? It's ludicrous. I mean, the BBC, they wouldn't put anything on about Brexit. They were all for Remain all through the campaign, but they didn't tell you that, you know, who was funding them and who was pushing their line, you know, and they didn't tell us that the European Union were putting money into the BBC. They didn't mention any of that, but it would be interesting to know that. So, of course, everybody's got something or somebody backing them. So, obviously, why pick on one particular group? It does seem a wee bit like a bit of a witch hunt, doesn't it?
Do you think this move could be politicised, given that Mavic Media's pages were quite critical of its mainstream counterparts?
Well, yeah, obviously, everything in the world is political. There's nothing that's not political. When people say to me, I'm not political, I'm not interested in politics, I say, you pay income tax, you're interested in politics. You know, everything's political.
Do you think there's a possibility that there has been pressure on Facebook to block Mavic's pages?
Oh, I think there has been. There was also recently some problems with some young girl committing suicide and all this sort of thing. So they're under pressure. Everybody's under pressure from censorship pressure from governments and such like. And I must admit that, you know, with the European elections coming up, the European Union are absolutely paranoid about fake news. Although they put out more fake news than anybody else, but oh my goodness, you know, anybody else dares to do it, they get in a terrible state about it. And the British government, you know, obviously the BBC, have been pumping out nonsense about if we vote to leave the European Union, the economy is going to collapse, the sky is going to drop on our heads. Well, we did it and nothing happened. And now they're banging on about the Irish backstop, which is an absolute fraud. There's no problem with the Irish business. We've been doing business with the Irish since 1923, people back and forward, they get to vote in our elections. It's never been a problem. And yet they don't want to know about that. And when the European Union, when somebody, my good colleague, brought up a problem or something that we were voting on last week, that they can check on trucks and where they're going from the European satellite. That wasn't put in. That couldn't be used to solve the Irish backstop problem. Oh, no. It can be used anywhere else in the world, but it can't be used for that. So, you know, but when it comes to fake news, the European Union and everybody else are all sticking their own shade on things. You know, obviously, people are going to have their own editorial policy. It's just natural. It's normal. But it's up to people to figure out who's doing what. Leave the online people to figure it out. They're pretty good at it.
David Coburn, Scottish MEP for the group Europe of Freedom and Direct Democracy. Thank you for joining us on RT.